Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? What's going on? My name's Johnny TCG. Welcome to another Johnny TCG video. I'm excited to see you here today. Today we're going to be taking a look at one of my favorite leaders in the game, a leader that I've played consistently since her release, and that is Bonney from OP07. While she has always been a strong leader in my opinion, recently she has seen a lot of play by a lot of different people. She is currently ranked the 4th highest rated leader on the ranked sim, which while that isn't like an official ranking, it still shows just how strong this leader is in the current meta and just how many people are starting to catch on to her. Now the core of this deck is pretty consistent from deck list to deck list, but the top end is where a lot of people try their own things and have their own preferences. You'll see that's the big difference between a lot of these decks, and then of course the text choices, one here, one there, a couple different ratios, but overall a lot of these decks look the same for the most part. Today we're going to do a deep deck profile, we're going to do a custom leader giveaway, you're going to want to stay tuned for that, and then of course we're going to take this deck to the sim, see how it does, and then talk about it afterwards. If you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss another upload. Let's get into the deck profile. For those that don't know, Bonney is a 5,000 power mono green 5 life leader. She has the ability of when your opponent attacks, once per turn you may rest one of your Don cards and then rest up to one of their leader or character cards. This is a great way to stall the game, make the game go longer. You're taking less attacks because you are going to be resting their potential swings. You can also rest potential blockers, and for that reason your opponent has to be really careful late in the game when they decide to swing. Sometimes they might not even decide to swing just because you might rest their blocker and that'll make them vulnerable. The nature of her leader ability lends her to be one of the most defensive leaders in the game, and I absolutely love playing her. I love the play style, and if you've never given her a shot, now is the perfect time. First up in the deck list, we have Scratchman Apu from EB01, a 1 cost 1000 power character with 2k of counter. He is mainly going to be used as a 2k counter, but then he does also have an on-play ability that could hypothetically be relevant. His on-play is rest up to one of your opponents, cost 2 or less characters. Now I don't find myself using this too often, but of course, that could be a solid way to deal with a chump blocker and then maybe swing at one of your opponent's characters or their leader. When it comes to 2Ks with utility, I think he's one of the best to consider for this deck. Next up, we have 4 of the 1 cost 1000 power Bonney searchers from starter deck 2. She is really good in this deck, of course. Rest one Don, rest this character, look at the top 5 cards of your deck for a supernova type card, then add it to your hand. This is a great card because also it acts as a pseudo blocker. Your opponent's going to want to swing into this and get it off the board ASAP instead of swinging into your life. Next up, I have 4 copies of Don Quixote Rocinante, a 2 cost 1000 power blocker with 1k of counter. This is one of the best green cards in the game in my opinion. He's a blocker with the ability of during your opponent's turn, if one of your other rested characters would be KO'd, you may instead trash this card, so essentially you can still block with him even if he's rested. Not a lot to say about this guy, folks. You'd be hard pressed to find someone who plays Bonney and doesn't have at least a couple copies of him in their deck. Next up, we have a card from the new Bonney starter deck 24, 2 cost 1000 power, 1k of counter, Capone Beige. This is a nice chump blocker to go along with our Rosinante and then also cheat out with our Eustace Captain Kidd. He also has the ability of if you have 6 or more rested cards on the field, you get to draw 1, trash 1. This is a great way, especially late in the game, of filtering your hand a little bit, finding the cards you need, and yeah, how can you hate this, folks? He's searchable off Bonney, which we love too. Overall, I've been really happy with this addition to the deck. More support from starter deck 24. This is the 2 cost 2000 power Kid and Killer with 1k of counter. They've got the on play of look at the top 5 cards of your deck for a supernova type card. Then they have the second ability of on your opponent's attack, you may trash this card, then restand one of your Don as active. This is a great way to use your leader ability when you couldn't logistically leave a Don up. I like this card. I like running multiple searchers in this deck. Let me know in the comments down below if you feel the same or if you don't think it's needed, because I've seen deck lists where it was included and some where it wasn't. Next up, we have 4 of the OP10 Tashigi, a 3 cost 4000 power body with 2k of counter. This goes perfectly with some of your other cards that you really want to stay on the board. I'm looking at you, Cavendish. I'm looking at you, Eustace, Captain Kidd, and even our 9 cost Zoro. Tashigi's ability is when one of your green characters other than Tashigi would be removed from the field by one of your opponent's effects, you may instead rest Tashigi. This is a great way to deal with cards that easily remove some of your more important bodies like Eustace, Captain Kidd, and Cavendish. For example, if you throw down an 8 cost Eustace, Captain Kidd, it wouldn't be surprising if your opponent tries to red rock it. Now, normally this would work, but if you have the Tashigi, if they try to red rock your Eustace Captain Kidd, you may instead just rest Tashigi. So what they're going to have to do is first red rock the Tashigi before they can red rock the Eustace Captain Kidd pretty much, and there's no promise they have the resources to do that. I absolutely love this card in the deck, even though it's not searchable. Next up, we have 3 copies of Rouge from OP07. This was a card that was played often in early deck lists of Bonney, but then slowly fell out of favor because of the popularity of Doflamingo, because of the popularity of Lucci. A 4-cost body was just so easily removed. Nowadays, with those 2 decks not being as popular as they once were, this card has been added back by a lot of players, and I'm certainly enjoying him. He's a 4-cost 5,000 body with 1k of counter. He's a blocker that has the ability of end of your turn, you may set one of your rested Don as active. This is a great way to continuously get your leader ability. You don't need to worry about leaving a Don up at the end of your turn because this character will do it automatically. Having him late game especially can be really helpful. I'm absolutely thrilled to have him back in the deck. Next up, we have 2 of the Basil Hawkins from Starter Deck 24. Another new Bonney Starter Deck support card. He's just a 4-cost 4,000 power body, mostly used for his 2k counter. He does have the same ability as a Rouge too, where at the end of your turn you may set one Don card as active. This is good. I mean, of course it's really good in a Rouge, but a 4-cost 4,000 body is definitely meh. So even though he has a decent ability, I'm not playing him out often. I'm more so using him as a searchable 2k. Next, we've got 4 of Cavendish from EB01. This just got announced to be getting a reprint in PRB02, so if you don't have your copies, you can rejoice, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to be much cheaper than he currently is. 5 cost, 6,000 power with 1k counter. He's got the ability of on play and when attacking. If your leader has the supernova type and you don't have another Cavendish on the field, you get to restand 2 rested Don as active. This is one of the best cards in the deck. If you can establish it, keep him on the board for a little bit, you are going to be doing so great. I'm telling you, it's hard to lose when you've got a Cavendish stuck on the board. Next up, I'm running 3 OP08 Carrots, a 5-cost 6,000 power body with 1k of counter. She is really good in this deck, really good in a certain matchup. Like Cavendish, her ability activates on play and when attacking, and that is up to one of your opponent's rested cost 7 or less characters does not become active during their next refresh phase. I love playing this card in the green-purple Luffy matchup. I love playing this card in the Belo Betty matchup. Against blue-purple Luffy, this card isn't really that good, but it has a lot of great matchups otherwise. I definitely think you should consider running this card in this deck. Next up, we have 4 Hody Jones, ladies and gentlemen. Hody Jones, the menace of green himself. 7 cost, 8,000 power, rush with the ability of on play, rest up to 2 of your opponent's characters or Don cards. Gum Gum Giant players fear this card. They have nightmares about this card, ladies and gentlemen. Playing this down, resting their Don, and just going for game, it's the perfect feeling. It's an amazing feeling. And the more I played this deck, the more I think you should play this card at 4. I think in past iterations, I've only played him at 2, but with Gum Gum Giant being so relevant in so many different decks, I really think 4 is the way here. 3 isn't crazy at all, but I've really been enjoying 4. I'm running 3 of the 8-cost 8,000 power Eustace Captain Kids from OP01. This is a classic One Piece TCG card. Don times 1 on your opponent's turn. They can only attack in a Eustace Captain Kid. That makes it really annoying for your opponent to get at your life because they have to deal with an 8,000 power body first. Then he's got the ability of Activate Main. Once per turn, you may rest this card. Then you may play out a cost 3 or less character from your hand to the field. This is a great way to cheat out a blocker like Rosinante or Beige. You could even cheat out Tashigi, Kid and Killer. Are you picking up what I'm putting down, folks? There are a lot of options with this card. Normally, a Gum Gum Red Rock would get rid of it right away. But now that we have this 3-cost Tashigi, he is even more annoying to remove from the field. A lot of decks are teching for Eustace Captain Kid nowadays. So they're running Gamma Knife, which is the purple event that gives minus 5,000 power to one of your opponent's characters. That is annoying to deal with, but I still think in this meta, 10 sets later, he is still a beast. This is the point in the deck list where a lot of lists start to look different. I am personally running 3 of the 9-cost 9,000 power Secret Rare Zoros from OP06, and then 4 of the starter deck 16 Shanks. 9-cost 9,000 power Zoro is a great way to deal with blue-purple Luffy. It's one of the few ways we can really deal with blue-purple Luffy. That is a hard matchup for us, folks. If you can get him on field while you have like a Kid and a Tashigi on board, that is an amazing feeling. Just any way to protect him from a Red Rock, which typically they only run 1, sometimes 2, but mostly only 1. If you can keep this on the board, that's going to be one of your best chances of fighting back against the blue-purple Luffy. For those that don't know, his ability is when attacking, you may rest 1 Don and then restand him, and then he also has the Activate Main of rest 2 Don and restand him again. So technically you can swing 3 times with this guy. A 9,000 power body that can swing 3 times. That's diabolical. Next up, we have 4 of the 9-cost 11,000 power starter deck 16 Shanks. On play, you may KO up to one of your opponent's rested characters. This is an amazing card. I always thought he was good, but in most deck lists, I feel like I was previously running like 2 copies, maybe, if that. Now I'm all in on them though. I've seen the way, I've seen the light. I'm a believer in this card, especially at least in the current meta. I would love to hear your thoughts on the top end I'm using in the comments down below. This seems like relatively common. It seems like a lot of people are going with the Zoro Shanks combo for their top end. Law and Beppo is also a common choice, and then of course 10 cost Dofi is still a great card. I would love to hear what top end you're running in your deck. And then last but not least, we have the 0 cost 3000 power counter event. Whoever wins this war becomes Justice. This is your typical trash a card from hand, give up to one of your leaders or characters plus 3000 power during the battle. Then it also has a trigger to rest one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less. That can come in handy. That could save your butt, folks. Not a lot to say about this card. We just have a lot of bricks in hand, and therefore sometimes we got to turn them into counter. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think about this deck in the comments down below. It's got some good matchups in the meta. It's got some bad matchups in the meta, but overall, I think this deck is always going to be decent. One card that I also really like in this deck, but have taken out in OP11 is the 5 cost OP10 Smoker. I think that's a really strong card, and I do like his synergy with the deck, but I just don't really feel like there's room for him right now. Before we get into the gameplay, of course I have a giveaway for you. If you're new to the channel, we do a giveaway in just about every video. Today we're going to be giving away a custom Bonney leader using art from the One Piece Treasure Cruise game. I'm going to throw it up on screen. I am not the artist. I am not selling this. This is just a fun personal fan project of mine. If you want to enter to win the leader, all you have to do is 2 things. 1, leave a like, and 2, leave a comment. It's as simple as that. Then if this video gets 20 likes in the first 24 hours, I will randomly choose a US based commenter, send it to you completely free. That's all you have to do. 1, leave a like, and 2, leave a comment, and you'll be entered to win this giveaway. And if you want to stay up to date with new videos, if you want to support the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button down below. It's free, it's easy, and with that, you're tired of me yapping, let's roll right into the gameplay. Our first game of the day is going to be against a green-purple EBO2 Luffy, a leader that I think we have a decent matchup into. It definitely doesn't feel overwhelming, at least in my opinion. In either way, we are on the odd curve, which we love because we can establish that 5 cost Cavendish on curve, which is always amazing. They are going to be on the even curve. We don't have a 1-Don play. They'll start out with the Event Searcher and draw the Frankie from EBO2. That's the 4 cost, I believe, that lets them ramp a Don as rested. Then with the remaining Don, they'll play down the Nami Searcher from EBO2 and find that Sanji and Pudding. Gotta expect that. We'll start out with a 5,000 power leader swing, which they do take, which is good news. Then with 3 Dons still left up, I'm going to play down the 1 cost Jewelry Bonney and do a search. My choice is between Eustace Captain Kidd and the 4 cost of Rouge. I'm going to go with the Eustace Captain Kidd, even though green purple Luffy can tech to deal with that card relatively easily. I'm going to take it though. I do have a fair amount of counter in hand, so I think it's worth establishing on the board, even if they do have that Gamma Knife and can therefore remove it relatively easily. 4 Don for them to work with. They're going to start out playing the stage. They're able to draw a card and they'll be able to give one of their characters plus 2 cost. 3 Don left up for them to work with. They'll swing 2,000 with their Nami into our Jewelry Bonney. I am going to be able to use leader ability here and rest their leader, which is great, and then I will let the Jewelry Bonney go. I could have countered out of that with my Tashigi 2k, but I think it just makes sense to let the Jewelry Bonney go and play the Cavendish this turn. Restanding 2 Don, I'll be able to swing 6,000 into their leader. I wouldn't be surprised if they take this or give me a 2k. They do have plenty of cards in hand. 6,000, they will take that, and then I will pass it back to them with 1 Don standing. We're in a pretty good spot. I really like the fact that we have that 5 cost carrot in our hand. That'll be really good to probably play next turn. 6 Don for them to work with. They're going to play out the 5 cost Sanji and Pudding. How original. I'm just teasing, folks. They're going to use leader ability and then play down the 4 cost Zoro Joro. This is going to allow them to do a search. They find the starter deck 18 Zoro Joro. So they just find another one off it. Nothing too crazy there. No counter on that one. They're going to swing 6,000 into our leader. I am heavily debating who I should rest using leader ability. The Frankie will allow them to ramp it down as rested when it attacks. But at the same time, we could also rest that Sanji and Pudding and then freeze it with Carrot, preventing them from swinging with it at least. They'll still be able to get his ability, but at least it won't be able to swing. We are going to take that hit. We are going to get the whoever wins this war becomes Justice. With that trigger, we can actually rest a cost 4 or less. And we got lucky. We're able to rest 2 of their characters this turn. We're going to rest their Frankie, which we'll be able to swing into. Please forgive me. I must admit, I do order this turn wrong. I should have swung with our Jewelry Bonney into the Frankie first. I'm going to swing 6,000 with our Cavendish into the Frankie to restand 2 Don, and they're going to let it go. 6,000 into 4,000. And then with my remaining 4 Don, I am thinking about putting it on our Jewelry Bonney and swinging big into their leader.
but I decided to go with the Arouge. The Arouge is going to allow us to restand it down at the end of our turn, but because they use leader ability, they're going to be a 6,000 power leader, and I can't swing with my leader, so that's a little bit of a bummer. Definitely did not do that perfectly. I should have swung 5,000 with my leader into the Frankie first, made them give me counter or let it go. Passing it back to them, though, we're still in a fine position. They will have the Luffy Taro play into another Sanji and Pudding. Getting 2 Don back from those Sanjis is really strong. They're going to go with the leader ability here. They have 4 active Don now. They'll use the stage to bump up the cost of their rested Sanji and Pudding to 7, but that is still in the range of my carrot, so that doesn't really make much of a difference. 6,000 with their Zoro Joro into our Cavendish. We're going to use leader ability here. The question again is, who do I want to rest? I can rest that Luffy Taro, which would be pretty strong, and I'll be able to freeze it with our carrot, or I can rest their leader so they can't put more pressure on us this turn. I'm leaning towards resting their leader just so that we don't have to defend more attacks into the carrot, and that's what we'll do. We'll rest the leader, then we're going to give them a 1k counter with our other Cavendish. Doesn't help to have 2 Cavendishes on the board at the same time. 4 down left up for them. We could see them throw it all on Nami and swing with her. Doubt it though. I'd expect them maybe to play a chump blocker or maybe another Frankie or something. We'll see. They actually have another stage to play down. They get to draw a card, and then they're going to be able to give +2 cost to their other Sanji and Pudding. Then with their remaining Don, they'll play down the Tony Chopper blocker and then leave a Don up probably for a Gum Gum Giant. Here I could go with the 8 cost Eustace Captain Kid and establish that, but because a lot of green purple Luffys do run Gamma Knife, and the fact that we're at a pretty healthy life total, I think we should go with the 9 cost Zoro here and just maybe put him away next turn or just dominate the board. We're going to now do 6,000 with Cavendish. We get to restand 2 Don. They'll block that, which I would not recommend, folks. I think that was the wrong call to block. I think they should have let that Zoro Joro go. We're going to swing 6,000 now with Carrot into the Zoro Joro and freeze their rested Sanji and Pudding. Then we're going to swing 7,000 now with our Jewelry Bonney into the Zoro Joro. 7,000 into 6,000. They'll 2k counter out of that. I'll pass it back to them. I get to restand it down with the Rouge, and we are in an amazing spot. I don't think they have any way to deal with our 9 cost Zoro. They could pressure our life decently here, but between our 9 cost Zoro and potentially playing a Hody Jones next turn, we might even be able to go for game, which would be pretty cool. 8,000 into 6,000 with their Luffy Taro into our carrot. I'm thinking we rest Sanji and Pudding, and then do we let the carrot go? Should we keep our blocker up? Should we counter out of this? I'm leaning towards just letting the carrot go. I could have put up a little bit more of a fight, but I'll let it go. I'd prefer to keep the Cavendish alive if possible. That Cavendish restanding 2 Don every turn is just so strong. They're going to play down another stage. I can't believe it. They'll be able to rest this stage, give +2 cost to a Sanji and Pudding. Not really too afraid of that. It's nice that they get card draw, but the stage doesn't really have a big relevancy in this matchup. 8 Don for them still to work with here. They're going to draw Gum Gum Giant off the 1 cost when you're at See You Fight Pirates event. That is not a big deal. Next turn, we might drop a Hody and then rest all their Don, or 2 of their Don. I would be surprised if they keep up more than 2, but you never know. They'll do another event search, and then they will find the EBO2 Rush Luffy. That could be pretty strong right now, and they might be able to get rid of our Cavendish this turn, which is a bummer. For 6 Don, they will play out that Rush Luffy. They're going to use leader ability to return Don, restand Don, get San back between Sanji and Pudding, and leader ability. They're a 6,000 power leader now, and they can probably remove this Cavendish. The question is, do I want to try to protect him as much as possible? 7,000 into 6,000 now with their Rush Luffy. They are going to use Rush Luffy's ability to restand him and take a life card. I think that might seal the deal for me to go for game this next turn. Hopefully they don't have a lot of counter. I think we might have it in the bag. We are going to counter out of all these attacks, using up all of our counter. Then they're going to swing 6,000 at the Cavendish, and alas, we do run out of counter. Now it's time for Hody Jones. We're going to rest both of their Don cards, and we're just going to go crazy this turn. We're going to do an 8,000 power swing with Hody. They concede before we even get the chance. They would have had to take that. They did have a 2k in their hand, but that's it. And then a couple of Gum Gum Giants, but no Don available for them. If they take the 8,000 power hit, they get another 2k counter in hand, which they'd be able to counter out of the first Zoro swing, but not the second, and of course not the third either. GG's, on to the next one. Next up, we have a game against Blue Yellow Nami from OP11, a leader that a lot of people, including myself, thought was going to be a lot better when she was first announced. But in actual practice, she's not as great as you might expect. We're going to be going on the odd curve. You know we like that odd curve. Unfortunately, this hand is not great right now. It's going to be Pretty rough in the early game. I don't really have anything great to play. I'm thinking here we play down maybe a 2-cost beige blocker just to establish it on the board, maybe protect our life a little bit. If they want to use a Zeus or I believe it's Nojiko to remove it from the field, that's fine too. It's just getting them to play a card out of their hand. 4 Don for them to work with. They are going to counter out of that first swing. They did use Hiyori to stack the top card of their life, so I need to be really careful about that. 5,000 into our life. We can use leader ability to rest the Hiyori. Not that that really means much. We might actually swing into it to get it off the board so that they can't bounce it back to hand with a Jozu, for example. They will have that 4-cost Cavendish to play out. That Cavendish is so strong. Hopefully we'll be able to remove it one way or the other. I'm thinking here we do a Jewelry Bonney search. Should we swing first with our leader? That is the question. 5 Don playing down just the Jewelry Bonney Searcher feels really bad. We do find that Cavendish, which is good news. We also could take the Scratch Manapoo 2K counter. Cavendish, though, too goated. We have to take him. 3 Don left up for us to work with. I'm thinking we swing 5,000 into Hiyori and then maybe play down the 2-cost Rosinante. I don't think I'll actually use the Rosinante to protect anything this turn, but next turn potentially I will use it, or the turns after if they don't remove it. They'll start out with the 6,000 power Cavendish swing into our life. We can use leader ability to rest their leader. They're at 6 Don, but a Jozu play is unlikely, and yeah, I don't really think that would even be that strong of a play right now, even though I'd have no way to deal with it. I'm going to block this attack with our Capone Beige, just trying not to go down too far in life, so we'll use that blocker. 6 Don left up. They will use the Joju. They'll send Cavendish back to hand, which I am perfectly okay with that, folks. That's a 6,000 power body that I no longer have to deal with. Now 5 Don, or 7 Don for us to work with, but for 5 Don, you know we're going to play down a Cavendish. On this turn, I really should establish Cavendish and the Tashigi just to protect our Cavendish from being bounced from the board. We're going to start with the 5,000 power swing. They're going to 2K counter out of that. Using Cavendish's ability, we can restand 2 Don. I'm not going to be able to do a search with my Jewelry Bonney because I need to leave a Don up for leader ability. They'll start their turn with a 7,000 power swing with their Jozu. This is an easy leader ability and then rest their leader. I will take this hit though. I don't have a blocker and I don't have enough counter, so folks, I gotta take this hit. Then they're gonna play down the 8-cost Eustace Captain Kid to trash the top card of our life. That was a great turn by them, being able to get 2 life cards from me and establishing that big body. Luckily, we have this 9-cost Shanks right on time. It is the perfect card to get rid of that Eustace Captain Kid, just like the manga and the anime. No spoilers here, folks, but it's funny how that scene just recreated itself here. They trigger out the Kikunojo, which isn't ideal, and then I'm not gonna swing with my leader, passing it back to them. They're gonna red rock our Shanks, but we can just rest our Tashigi. That is perfectly fine with us. That is amazing. This is why Tashigi is so strong, especially in blue matchups, just because they're gonna have to deal with that before they deal with one of your big bodies. They're gonna swing 7,000 with their Kikunojo into our Tashigi. We've got to let the Tashigi go, unfortunately, but we'll rest their Jozu using our leader ability. Then they're going to throw 2 Don or 3 Don on their leader, swing 8,000 into Cavendish, and oh, folks, this is a little risky, but I think we should use all the counter in our hand to keep this Cavendish alive. Next turn, we can either establish another 9-cost Shanks, which would be epic, or we can establish a 9-cost Zoro, and then being able to use that Cavendish ability really just makes things so much better for us. With the Cavendish's ability, we'll be able to do a search with our 1-cost Jewelry Bonney as well, besides just establishing that big body. So we're going to get some cards back. And yeah, let me know if you think I'm crazy for doing that in the comments down below, but I think that was the right move. Sometimes I get a little too counter happy though. We're going to start with a Jewelry Bonney search just to see what we can find. A 8-cost Eustace Captain Kid would have been tempting too, but we do find a 2K counter, which I think is the move here. Then for 9 Don, we'll play down our 9-cost Zoro and then swing 6,000 with Cavendish. Before we do that though, should I go with the 9-cost Shanks, folks? What do you think? I think the Zoro makes more sense. I'll swing 11,000 first into the Jozu. If they didn't let that Jozu go, maybe I would have played down the 9-cost Shanks, but they did let it go. That's great news for us. I feel a little bit safer playing down this 9-cost Zoro. I don't have a Tashigi to protect it, but that's okay. If they want to get rid of the Zoro, I still have these other big bodies, and at least that means they're not establishing another big body this turn. Because they use leader ability to make themselves a 7,000 power leader, I can't swing into them without using all of my Don, and of course I gotta leave a Don up to use leader ability. 10 Don for them to work with here. They're gonna start off by giving their leader a Don, swinging 6,000 at our life. Of course, we'll use leader ability, and then I think I should counter out of this with a 2K counter. We'll give them the Basil Hawkins 2K. 9 Don for them still to work with. They'll rest 8 Don to play out the new Secret Rare Rush Luffy from OP11, swing 9,000 into Cavendish. If they use Luffy's ability and trash a card, they'll be able to bounce back a cost 4 or less to our hand, which would be Jewelry Bonney. They will do that, which we are perfectly fine with. If anything, we are happy because now we get counter back to our hand, which we desperately needed. I'm going to start out by doing an 11,000 power swing with our Shanks into the Luffy, see if they try to keep it alive. If they do keep it alive, which they do, which is great, they use counter on it. I'm thinking here we swing again with our Zoro, or maybe we drop the 9 cost Shanks to just get rid of it that way. I'm leaning towards that. We're going to go 5,000 into their life with our leader. They will counter out of that one. Now we'll swing 9,000 with our Zoro into their leader. I don't know if that sequencing really made much of a difference. I'll play down the 9 cost Shanks to pop their Luffy and pass it to them. We've got 3 huge bodies on the board, a Gum Gum Red Rock they desperately need right now, but if they do, I still have the other big bodies. They're going to go with the 8 cost Eustace Captain Kid again to trash the top card of our life. That was a 3 cost 2k counter to Shigi. Sad to see that go, but we are in a good spot here. 7,000 with Kikunojo into our life. I think we're okay to take this. Next turn, we should have this in the bag unless they have crazy triggers and crazy counter in their hand. 7,000 into 5,000. Is it a big deal to keep 1 life? Yeah, I guess I will. I don't know if that's necessary. This probably is a little bit too risky. Maybe I should have kept those blockers, especially in my hand, and just went down to 0. We're going to do an 11,000 power swing with our Shanks first. They'll use leader ability to turn themselves into a 7,000 power leader, but have to take that, I guess. We'll swing 11,000 again. They'll counter out of this. It doesn't really matter, though. We just have this giant Zoro swings, 3 of them to come up. So I think no matter how they countered here, we have this one in the bag. A couple of 13,000 power swings with our Zoro, and that's game. GG's. On to the next one. That last turn was a little bit weird, but with that board we had a Hody in hand as well. I think there was no way we could even possibly lose that turn. We are going to be playing against a Belo Betty now. Belo Betty, debatably one of the best decks in the format. Debatably the best deck in the format with her performances recently, topping a couple different regionals, which is crazy. We're going to be on the odd curve. We'll start out with the Jewelry Bonney. They don't have a Belo Betty Searcher on their first turn, which is absolutely huge for us. Off the Jewelry Bonney search, we're going to take the 8 cost Eustace Captain Kid. I think that could be really strong in this matchup, just to hide behind that and buy us some time. Then we have 2 Don remaining. I'm not going to swing with my leader because I'm worried about triggers. I'm actually going to play down the 2 cost Capone Beige. I mean, a chump blocker like this can get removed pretty easily by Belo Betty, but I think it's worth playing out early just to protect our life a little bit. They can go really fast and put a lot of pressure on us before we realize it, so maybe I'll use it on one of these early attacks. They're going to play down the Karasu, make our leader at 4,000 power, then swing 5,000 into our leader with their leader. They're going to let the Jewelry Bonney Searcher survive, which is surprising to me. That'll be able to get us value in the future. Also, we've got that 5 cost Carrot in our hand, which I'm really excited about. That'll be great in this matchup. 5,000 into 4,000 this early. We will take that, and we get another Carrot. Ooh, this could get crazy, folks. We can just stun a bunch of their characters and then clear their board with our Carrots. We're going to start off with our Jewelry Bonney search. We find the Arouge, which is the perfect card in this situation, a blocker that also lets us restand a Don. We're going to swing into their life with our leader. They'll counter out of that, which I don't know if they needed to counter out of that, but you never know. I'm not a Belo Betty player, so I shouldn't lecture them. They're going to play down the 5 cost Ivankov into another 4 cost Karasu. Double Karasu right now is crazy. They're going to use leader ability and swing 8,000 into us. We are a 3,000 power leader, which is crazy. We'll rest either their leader or the Ivankov. Should we even rest the Karasu? This is a little bit crazy. We'll rest the Karasu just to really prevent it from getting value next turn. We will be able to freeze one with Carrot, then swing into the other one with our leader and even our Arouge if we're crazy. Now they're going to swing into the Jewelry Bonney Searcher, but we're going to block and then counter that with our 4 cost Arouge. They'll do a Belo Betty search and find another Karasu. Oh my god, the board's about to be flooded with Karasus and Carrots. We'll start out with the 5,000 power leader swing into the Karasu. I imagine they'll keep this alive, but look how little cards they have in hand now. Only 3 cards in hand. Off of our Jewelry Bonney search, I'm going to take the 2K. Of course, I love seeing a Cavendish, but I don't know if it's critical to the game plan right now. I think a 2K will be beneficial. We're going to swing 5,000 with our Rouge into their Karasu, and they will let it go. I actually miscalculated the Don there. I could have swung 6,000 because, of course, Arouge's ability lets us restand 1. We still have that Beige block blocker, we've got leader ability, and we got a ton of 2Ks in our hand. For 1 Don, they're going to establish the stage. They're going to be able to do a little searching. They are going to trash a card to use leader ability, powering up their Belo, their Ivankov, and one of their Karasus. 8,000 into us with their Karasu. They're going to turn us into a 4,000 power leader. Using leader ability, I'll rest their Ivankov and then block with beige. Now they still have 2 swings left, 7 Don up to work with. They've only got 1 card in hand, and we've done a pretty good job of protecting our life so far. 5,000 into 4,000 with their Belo character. All 2K counter out of that. Then they're going to throw 4 Don on their leader, swing 9,000 into the Rouge, and I am just going to let that one go. 9 Don for us to work with here, and I think we're just going to go Carrot, and maybe that's it. We'll start off with the Carrot swing into... should we swing into a Ivankov or a Karasu? We'll swing into Ivankov, 6,000 into 6,000. If they want to counter out of this, so be it. It's their only card in hand. I'm not really too worried about it. They do have 3 Don up, probably for that Revolutionary Army event, which they do use, but they can't cheat a body out with it. No big deal there. Happy to get that out of their hand, actually. Now we'll play down another Carrot. We can do another Jewelry Bonney search because it stayed on the board all this time. I am going to take the Capone Beige because I will be able to cheat it out this turn, which is nice. The Rouge, of course, a great choice as well, but I wouldn't have been able to play it this turn. 5,000 into their Belo Searcher with our leader. They, of course, have to let it go. And then we'll do a 2-cost Beige. We're going to be able to draw a card, trash a card. I'm thinking here we trash the 9-cost Zoro. No need for it, probably. I mean, I'm probably safe to establish it this upcoming turn, but it's a little bit slow in this matchup. I don't really think it's worth it. They're going to draw just hard play the Lindbergh. That's not going to get a lot of value right now. They can't even use their leader ability, folks. We are in a dominating position. 6 Don left for them to work with. I'm going to be able to rest one of their characters or their leaders, depending on how they swing. 12,000 into one of our Carrots with their Ivankov. We can use leader ability here to rest their leader, and then we can just block this with beige. These Carrots are absolutely diabolical in this matchup. Diabolical in every matchup, basically. We're going to start with a 6,000 power swing into Ivankov, freezing their Karasu. Now we can do a 6,000 power leader swing, freezing their other Karasu. Just putting a little bit of pressure on them, but not crazy pressure. They will find the Kuma trigger to be able to pop our Jewelry Bonney Searcher. A little bit of a bummer, but no big deal, really. We'll do a 5,000 power leader swing now. No trigger off that, and then we're going to establish the 8-cost Eustace Captain Kidd. They might be able to remove it this turn if they just swing really big, but I think we'll be alright. We have a ton of counter. We don't have any blockers on the field, but that's no big deal. We can use leader ability, of course. A dragon would be strong here, but I think we got this game in the bag, folks. Let me know in the comments down below if you think I do, or if you think I'm going to make a misplay and accidentally screw up this game. They are going to have the Koala, which gives minus 3,000 power to our Eustace Captain Kidd. They'll trash an Ivankov to use leader ability, powering up their Kuma and their Lindbergh. Maybe I spoke too soon, folks. This Eustace Captain Kidd might be dead pretty soon. Let's see what they do. Let's see how they split up their Don. They're going to give 5 Don to their Lindbergh. Swing 13,000 with Lindbergh's ability. They're able to pop our Kidding Killer. Not really a big deal there. 13,000 into 5,000. Technically, I could get out of this if I want to be absolutely crazy, but I do not. I do not want to give them all the counter in my hand, so I will let the Eustace Captain Kidd go. Before I do, I will use leader ability to rest either their Kuma or their leader. It doesn't really make too much of a difference. I'll rest the Kuma. Let the Kidd go. They'll swing 8,000 into one of our Carrots, and we will counter out of this with a Rouge and a Scratch Manapoo, and we should have game here. We'll swing 5,000 with our leader. They'll have to take this as long as there's no triggers. We've got this in the bag. 7,000 now with Carrot. We are going to freeze one of their Karasus, and then we are going to swing big with our other Carrot. GG's. I'm surprised that matchup went as well as it did. Now it's on to the next one. Alright folks, let's get into our last game of the day. Today we're going to be playing against Nico Robin, a leader from OP09 that doesn't see a ton of play. I know some spicy lists are going around nowadays with them playing the new 6-cost Beer Luffy, so it'll be interesting to see what list this leader is playing. They're going to start out with the Clover from OP09, doing a little search. They reveal a Basil Hawkins from OP10, and they'll pass it back to us. We are on the even curve. We're going to start out with the 1-cost Jewelry Bonney search. The only card we can take off of this is the Basil Hawkins. It's a 2K though. We're happy to have that, and then we'll pass it back to them. We've got the Cavendish in our hand. We've got a Hody in our hand. We've got a lot of things to like about our current hand, so I'm not really too worried. They're going to play down the Jaguar D Saw for 3 Don, just a typical blocker. Swing 5,000 at our life with their leader. They're going to use leader ability to ramp a Don as rested. I'm debating taking this here, but I think I'd rather counter out. They don't go for my Jewelry Bonney character, which means I will be able to search again with her, which is great news. Off the search, we find an Rouge and a 2k counter Scratch Mana Poo. Either one of those would be pretty strong. Let me know who you would take in the comments down below. I'm going to go with the Rouge, even though I don't have a ton of counter in hand, but that Rouge could come in handy. They are, of course, a banished leader, and so having a blocker is never a bad idea, especially when that blocker has a great ability like a Rouge. They are going to get the trigger for Basil Hawkins. They're able to draw 2, trash 1. Then we're going to play out the Don Quixote Rosinante, leave 1 Don open for our leader ability, and we will pass it back to them. They're at 6 Don to work with. They will have the Basil Hawkins from OP10. That was definitely a misclick though, and I'm pretty sure I meant to rest the Jaguar D Saw. There's no point in resting that Basil Hawkins. We are going to let the banish attack go through. We have to trash it to Shigi from our life. That's definitely a bummer. Off of our Jewelry Bonney search, we will find the 8-cost Eustace Captain Kidd, which will be huge in this matchup. Gonna swing 5,000 now with our leader into their life. They will take that. They're down to 2 life, and now it's going to be a Cavendish play. They will have the Frankie trigger, so they're able to draw a card. We are going to play Cavendish, restand 2 Don. That doesn't leave us any up to play another blocker or anything, so we'll just leave the 2 Don up and pass to them. The reason I swung first with leader instead of playing Cavendish, even though I would have been able to swing more if I played Cavendish first, is because if they had triggered a KO my Cavendish, I would have felt like a fool. 6 Don, they're going to play down the Beer Monkey D. Luffy from starter deck 26. This gives their leader plus 2,000 power until the start of their next turn. This is going to make it really hard for us to hit them, at least for now. 7,000 into our leader with their leader. I'm thinking here we rest the Basil Hawkins for real this time, and then do we take this hit? It does feel pretty bad. We could also block out of this, but I think maybe we just take this. We lose the 9-cost Shanks. That's a bummer, but we're still in a pretty good spot. This next turn, we're going to be able to play out that 8-cost Eustace Captain Kidd, which is going to be hard for them to deal with. They're going to give a Don to their Clover Searcher. Just going to swing 1,000 into our Jewelry Bonney. 1,000 into Jewelry Bonney. I might counter out of this. Is that crazy, folks? Jewelry Bonney just gets us so much value by continuously searching for us. I am going to let her go, though, just because they could have then swung with Jaguar D Saw. 2 Don left up for them, I assume for maybe like a Gum Gum Giant or something. Now we're going to play down the 8-cost Kidd. We're going to swing 6,000 with our Cavendish into their... we can't hit their leader, but I don't want to swing into the Basil Hawkins and trash a life, so I'll just swing into leader anyway. They don't have to counter, but we do get the effect of restanding 2 Don. With our remaining Don, I'll put one on our Eustace Captain Kidd, rest him to use his ability, and play out the Capone Beige blocker. Off Capone Beige, we get to draw 1, trash 1. I'll trash the Cavendish that we just drew. 2 is definitely a little bit unnecessary. They're at 9 Don right now and not in a great situation. They're going to play down the 9-cost Linlin. They're going to be able to put one of our bodies to the top or bottom of our life. I think they should go Cavendish, but they will go Rosinante. They're kind of in a lose-lose situation. If they get rid of a blocker, it's easier for them to remove my Eustace Captain Kidd, but if they remove my Cavendish, it makes it harder for me to keep Don up for my leader ability. But right now, I'm able to play down the 9-cost Zoro and establish that it'll probably stay alive until the next turn, and then I can really go for game. I'm going to start with the simple 5,000 power leader swing. Hopefully no triggers that KO my Cavendish or my Beige, specifically that Cavendish. 5,000, they will take that. Is there a trigger? Moment of truth, ladies and gentlemen. Drumroll, please. They get the Nico Olivia trigger, which isn't anything crazy. They're able to draw 3, trash 2. They're going to trash a Gum Gum Giant and a Jaguar D Saw. Then we're going to play down the Zoro, swing 6,000 with Cavendish to restand 2 Don. Then I'll be able to give a Don to our Eustace Captain Kidd and then swing with him too. They're going to 2k counter out of our Cavendish swing. Now we're going to swing 9,000 with Kidd. I imagine they either take or block. They will block and we will pass it back to them. Debate playing maybe like a Kidding Killer Searcher, but no need for that. Let's leave 2 Don up. We've got the 2-cost Beige blocker on the field. They're going to go with the 8-cost Katakuri here, then probably swing with Charlotte Linlin or Monkey D. Luffy. They're going to swing 11,000 with Linlin into the Captain Kid. That's not going to be enough though, folks. We'll use leader ability and rest the Monkey D. Luffy, I guess. It doesn't really make any difference because either way, we're just going to block with beige and they won't be able to swing into our Eustace Captain Kid. Now this turn, we're going to be able to go crazy. We're going to be able to play a Hody Jones, rest their blocker and one of their Don, or I guess they don't even have any Don up, so that's irrelevant. We're going to be able to rest their Katakuri. We can rest their Hawkins too, or their Linlin. Doesn't really matter. Then we're just going to be able to go straight at their life. We're going to have a ton of swings. We're going to have 4 swings between Leader and Cavendish, Kid, and Hody. Then we're going to have 3 swings with Zoro. 6,000 starting off with Cavendish. There'll 2k counter out of that. Now we can do a 9,000 power swing with Eustace Captain Kid. I guess we swing first 5,000 with Bonney. Not really much of a difference though. They will take the 5,000 power swing. Is there a trigger? They get another Nico Olivia trigger that lets them draw 3, trash 2. I think this might be too little too late though, folks. Now we've got an 8,000 power Hody Jones swing into their life. They will take that too. And now we'll swing 9,000 with our Eustace Captain Kid. And does that go through? That does. They were bricked up in hand. Didn't even need that 9 cost Zoro. GG's.
Ladies and gentlemen, those are the games I got for you today. What did you think about them? I just took the stack IRL to a locals and went 2-1. The one loss was a tough matchup against Blue Purple Luffy. That's not one of our best matchups, and late game they just get so many resources between their leader ability and just normal big bodies that they're playing that have effects. It's hard to keep up, folks. That was a very disappointing game, but it was a fun game nonetheless. If you like the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button. If you made it this far in the video, you're a real one. What the heck are you doing if you're not subscribed, but you made it this far? I'm just teasing, folks. Have an amazing rest of your day. This has been a Johnny TCG video. Peace.